New York City legalizes jaywalking, period. Okay, I'm going to stop and say, oh, it's about time. Everybody does it. And then supporters complain laws against it had racial implications.
Good grief.
How?
So now we're at the period where if the law that exists is the right law, but for some reason it's disproportionately affecting one racial group, the law must be done away with. So it's like if one racial group commits a bunch of crimes, the law cannot be allowed to exist.
Can they say the same about daylight savings so we can get rid of that? Say that it has some racial implications and maybe we could keep the time the same all year.
Yeah, but I think what they're trying to do with daylight savings is keep the daylight longer. So it's like they want the day to be they want the day to be longer. They don't want to go back. Mm-hmm. So right now what I'm hearing is because I think this weekend is daylight savings, right?
Yes.
Yeah, people are like, no, we shouldn't do it. I'm like, no, we're going back to the normal time. Mm-hmm. We are in daylight savings, okay? If you get rid of it, it will instantly go back to being darker earlier. Mm-hmm. And I always hated it because I'm like, just wake up early. It's like the stupidest thing imaginable. It's like, we need more daylight for the harvest. What? Just wake up an hour early. What are you doing?
Yeah, there was that old joke. This was attributed in a meme to a wise Native American man, but, people make things up, so who knows? But the line was like, oh, they think that they can, or like the Europeans think that they can make a quilt longer by cutting off of the bottom and then sewing it to the top, which is effectively what daylight savings time is.
That is indeed. Well, here's the story. Despite the fact that roughly 200 people have been killed in New York City in the last 5 years while jaywalking, the city has now legalized jaywalking, outlawed since 1958, with supporters claiming the laws against jaywalking were racist. The city council passed a bill last month permitting jaywalking. Democratic Mayor Eric Adams never vetoed the bill, and it became law and will go into effect in roughly 120 days. Prior to the law being abolished, a violation costs as much as $300. Bro, everybody in New York jaywalks. There is no circumstance where people aren't jaywalking in New York. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. This law doesn't need to be racist to be gotten rid of. But if this is the way they're going, quote, jaywalking is not genuinely associated with traffic safety and instead is often used as a pretext to stop black and brown individuals. Decriminalizing actually, I think that's half true. If you are in like Manhattan and you jaywalk, nobody stops you. But in the black neighborhoods, cops will use jaywalking as a means for a stop and frisk. And so that does happen. That doesn't mean you make jaywalking legal. It means you just enforce jaywalking laws.
Dude, I would crash out if I got a $300 fine for jaywalking.
It happens all the time in Missouri. Yeah, for real. Yeah. People get jaywalking.
I mean, I've done it all the time when I was in Chicago.
So you admit you're a criminal.
I mean, if that makes me a criminal, so be it.
That's right.
Jaywalking criminal.
Shame on you.
It's part of a broader decriminalization of everything. Joseph Borelli, the Republican minority leader in New York City Council, stated. Fellow GOP councilwoman Vicky Palladino echoed that the move would promote chaos and make streets far more dangerous. I actually agree with that because now people are just going to be crossing randomly all over the place, all over Manhattan. And that's actually going to be like kind of messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
No, I mean, listen.
100 people just crossing at once.
This is another issue that I think people don't consider often enough. They'll point to some law, and it'll be a law that actually makes sense. I mean, for example, telling people not to cross the street in a busy city is probably a good policy. But they'll say, well, a lot of people don't follow that law. People jaywalk anyway. For sure, that's true. But people are always going to fall below what the standards are, right? We have to set standards anyway. The reality is we're never going to set a standard and have everybody meet it. We should still have those standards. It's still probably better to have a rule that says, yeah, don't just cross the street when there's cars driving there. Like, I don't know. Any thoughts on that?
Well, does legalizing jaywalking mean that like whoever is jaywalking has the right of way automatically?
That's an interesting.
Well, the pedestrians always have the right of way, right?
No, because I mean that's fucked up if that's the case.
Oh, I'm stoked because they're gonna get self-driving cars soon. They got them in Austin and San Fran. Mm-hmm. Just imagine the chaos of everybody just walking. Dude, have you seen how people treat the self-driving cars? There's no one in it to affront, so people don't care. There was one homeless lady like sitting on one, and the car couldn't go anywhere, and she's laughing because there's nobody in it. No one can call. Like no one's going to do anything. No one's going to call the cops. The car just doesn't move. So people are going to be just walking around, and the cars are going to be stuck. This is how they're going to get rid of cars.
I imagine that it's always going to be the people have the right of way, because if a person you have to incentivize people to stop, people that have cars to stop, because the car versus the human's going to lose every time.
Should we look up the FBI crime stats to see what other laws are racist?
Yeah, well, they're all racist, right? Any law that you write is racist.
The law is racist.
The law is just inherently racist because this country's inherently racist because it
And the
built
stats
off
are
slavery,
racist.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
and the
look at the
stats are
stats.
racist. It's all racist.
Oh, wait, hold on. Guys, wait, stop. Shut up. Seamus, stop.
What?
Gun laws disproportionately affect black and brown people in New York, so we have to get rid of gun laws.
You know they're never going to fall for it. They're never going to fall for that. You know what you're doing, and they do too.
It's true, though. In New York, the gun laws and Chicago disproportionately affect black and brown people, so that's racist, and therefore the law must be abolished. We have to let everyone have guns.
Yeah, well, we all know that this is just something they use as a tactic, right? Well, that's racist, so we can't allow people to do it. But again, they very selectively apply it. Way more black babies are killed by abortion. Margaret Sanger was openly racist, but they never decry abortion or Planned Parenthood is racist. It just doesn't matter to them. When they see an excuse to, decrease stability and promote lawlessness, they will try to turn a law into a racial issue. But the reality is it has nothing to do with race. It's just all about tearing the system down.
Yeah, I mean, they'll say it's restorative justice or something like that, and really what it is an effort to disrupt the system that exists.
Well, it's like, I just don't, listen, I can understand saying, there aren't enough police. It's hard for us to enforce these laws. But the idea that what we need right now is to give more criminals a pass is so backwards.
So guys, look, I just pulled up the New York City government 2023 enforcement report. I got some shocking news. All law is racist.
All the laws are racist.
So what we have here, it says misdemeanor, criminal mischief, victim, suspect, arrestee, and ethnicity. This is really interesting. So American Indians are 0.8% of victims, 0.3% of suspects, but 0.4% of arrestees. It's a very small number. Asian Pacific Islander is 11.6% of victims, 5% of suspects, and 5.1% of arrestees. Black New Yorkers are 38.9% of victims, 49.7% of suspects, and 43.1% of arrestees. And then white is 20, 15, 17. Hispanic is 28, 29, 34. I think it's fair to say that the law itself must be abolished, all of it, because no matter what it is disproportionately affecting black people.
Yeah,
You're noticing too much, Tim. Stop noticing. Gonna get in trouble for not all this
it's
noticing.
racist. I mean, every law is racist.
This proves it. It's inherent
every
racism.
law is racist then.
The issue here is not that any one of these individuals is more likely to commit a crime. It's that they're only suspects because the system is racist and the laws must be abolished.
Yeah.
And that's actually the argument that leftists are making and trying to get rid of prisons and police and all of that stuff.
Every single disparity is...
I'm for it now. I'm for it. You know what, man? Defund the police, abolish the police, just all that. And then there's no laws, and then the strong will survive.
I mean, that's just not the way it's going to work out, though. Like, if they abolish...
What do you mean?
Well, because they'll still enforce... Like, all right, you know what they're
enforce
doing.
laws against people that are
abolish the police.
They won't do it. They'll say they abolish the police, but then they'll send a social worker with a nightstick over to your house to beat you for defending
Who's going to stop me from having a gun?
Social worker.
Social
With a
worker?
gun. A social worker with a gun will be like, yeah, I'll make the society work.
Social worker with a gun. Yeah, a cop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you
But this
go.
is, I mean, we talk about this all the time. It's anarcho-tyranny. Right? So you have this guy who'd been arrested upwards of 30 times in one case for grabbing a child. He's on the subway screaming in people's faces, saying he's going to kill them. Daniel Penny steps in.
Oh, my God.
Saves everybody there. And now he's going to be potentially kept off the street for the rest of his life, even though the guy who he had to restrain had 30-something arrests and was still out on the streets.
Yeah.
New York City is racist.
Is it?
Absolutely. Look at this. 57% of suspects in murders are black. That proves they're racist because there's substantially less black people than living in New York. And 57% of the victims are black. That proves that New York is racist. There's no other explanation.
It's right, exactly.
Including the mayor.
They got to get rid of these laws. You know, laws that say you need a driver's license and that...
They say that. They say if you have a law that says you need a driver's license to vote, it's racist.
I know.
Like, they literally already say that.
I'm saying it right now. You just got to get rid of it all. Yeah. Just get rid of all. You know what?
No more.
And anybody can vote as many times as they want. Just all laws. Yeah. Seamus, you can vote.
Seamus is in charge.
I already did.
Well, all right then.
Believe it or not, I voted. Did you at home vote? Young men watching.
You got to go. Did you?
Did you vote? Boys
And
gotta
then
get out there and vote.
then switch to Phil because Seamus is pointing at Phil and Phil says, "Yes, I did."
I did. I voted last Monday.
My man.
This past Monday.
What do you think is next on the chopping block for laws they would get rid of in all seriousness? Right, jaywalking. I'm actually excited to see what happens in New York now that people are told outright like jaywalking's illegal.
Well, part of what they do with with like the most egregious offenses, they just try to redefine what the offense is. So they didn't write a law saying weird perverts who get off on dressing as women are allowed to go in women's changing rooms. They just redefined the terms and said, well, this is a trans woman, and this trans woman should be able to go in the women's restroom. So I think often it's not even a matter of repealing the law. It's just about redefining things in a way that allows them to give people a pass on bad behavior. And we see that too, even with they're literally showing pornography to children in schools. But it's not like they repealed the law that says you're not allowed to show pornography to children. They just redefined something that was obviously porn and started calling it sex ed, even though it was rated as MA by Amazon.
That was the whole
And the author was creating it to indulge their fetish.
That's the whole reason that the left wants to control like definitions and stuff is because if they can't change the law, they're completely happy with changing the words so the law means something different. You know what I mean? Something else. And that's one of the reasons why they want to have, you hear people on the left constantly saying, oh, we have a living constitution. It should be interpreted. So that way they don't even have to change the laws. They just have to say, well, we understand it differently today. And it's one of the reasons why I will forever assert that the Constitution is not a living document. It is dead, dead, dead. The words mean what they say. And if they don't mean what they say, then they don't mean anything at all. And there's no point in having a constitution.
I think a step above that too is not just like how they'll be changing the laws, but how they'll be choosing the lawmakers. So we're seeing efforts in state by state trying to move away and embrace ranked choice voting.
Yeah,
and that system in itself would radically change how people choose their elected officials. And I think both the Democrat establishment and the Republican establishment are out against it, but it's seeing what it's done in other states is terrible. And so if they can't get their way with changing the law itself, I think they're going to be changing the system of how we choose our lawmakers.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.